Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Just a quick check. We have three speakers, and people really do get angry when they're hungry. So, just a small warning to the speakers. So, our first speaker is Mario Siller. He's an associate professor at the Cinvestav in Guadalajara, and he's an visiting associate professor at MIT, focusing on the city science area. Is focusing on urban agriculture and intelligent transportation systems. A lot of those problems that we do identify and face in emerging worlds. So I'd request Mario if you could just come and have a small presentation. Yeah. And then I have a couple of questions at the end of the session. So.
Hi, I had some slides to present, but very last minute slides. As I was listening to the talks, and I was trying to do my best and so that I can actually, I've got it in my laptop, so this is the adapter. I don't know if you can help me. And so what I was trying to do is listen to all the different and very interesting talks and to capture the main ideas and so that I could give a better overview of what is going on in Mexico and how the Emerging Worlds Initiative is so important and matches perfectly with what is going on in Mexico. We have many, many different problems that are not local problems. Obviously, we have local problems, but we're part of the global problems too. And there's no other way, I believe, that we can solve the problems without having a better understanding of them and actually allowing to collaborate and have the contribution of different countries such as India and all the emerging world and economies. So Mexico has well, now there is a problem with my laptop. Mexico has a long tradition of cooperation in science, technology, and innovation. We started basically with the first two as a CONACY, which is our National Science and Technology Council. So we started to send people overseas, and that was more than 30 years ago. We had this scholarship program. And I'm actually part of that program. I did my MSc and my PhD as part of that program. And so for all these years, we've been sending people abroad, and many of them have been coming back to Mexico. So we've been creating the science and technology institutions so that we can actually focus and start doing interesting things on science and technology. But there is something that we started basically doing a few years ago, and that's innovation. And that's creating a whole ecosystem about entrepreneurship. And there are several institutions contributing and leading and helping us to understand what that means and how can we do that actually in Mexico. So this is like the general process that we've been following in terms of science, technology, and innovation in Mexico. So first, we have education, and as we educate, we acquire new knowledge, we have new researchers and so on. We've been doing research and even now contributing to have and create new knowledge. And then we started the application of that knowledge, and so we started to develop some initial technology a few years ago. And then we realized that we need to build communities around innovation. So that's what is going on. And for that, we're trying to focus on regional innovation approach. That means that for instance, in the western side of the country, we have Jalisco, and that's where Guadalajara is located, the Mexican Silicon Valley. But that is also where tequila and the mariachi band are originally from. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that we have different regions in Mexico, we have different strengths and opportunities, and we've been focusing the efforts according to that. And obviously, we like to evaluate ourselves so that we get a better view of how we're doing, and we try to compare with the rest of the world and learn a lot from what is going on anywhere else. And this is very important to the internationalization. And this is where the Emerging Worlds Initiative is so important for a country such as Mexico. And so who's leading that in Mexico? That's the National Science and Technology Council. But we also have state councils. And they meet oftenly in Mexico. They try to learn and share experience and to develop the policies, the regional policies that regulate and direct whatever happens in terms of science and technology and education. So, and who's been involved on this? Definitely academia, industry, government, and now we're trying to build this entrepreneur community, new communities. There's now this institution which is called INADEM, which is el Instituto Nacional del Emprendedor, which is in charge of providing all the support to the new young people and anyone who has any interest on basically becoming an entrepreneur and open new companies and do spin-offs and so on. And there is also an important tradition on that, on this area by different academic institutions, especially the leading one here that has actually been helping us, the rest of all the different institutions to understand this, and that's the Tecnológico of Monterrey. So this is very important to point it out that now there's this new culture of entrepreneurship that we're trying to understand and to set up what is coming for the near future in Mexico. All right. So education, science, technology, and design. So that part is in design is on red because I think, or I believe that in Mexico we still need to learn a lot about design, and that goes to how we can actually design technology so that we can grow the adoption of technology and do it in a large scale deployment of that. And so for the Emerging Worlds platform, there's no other way, in my opinion, to do that but doing it through collaboration and understanding. And all the different areas, those are very important areas for Mexico to us. I believe they are for all the emerging economies. And these are the big challenges for Mexico. So how we can have better access and coverage of education, health, medical services, and we develop new technology on that and so on. How can we improve whatever we already have, and how can we create new technology or digital technologies to help to understand, to have a better understanding of global and the local problems. Just to give you a very quick example, Mexico City, we have a big problem of pollution going on. So basically, during the last few days, 1/5 of the whole of the cars that are circulating in the city, there's a program which is called No Circula. That means that you're not entitled to use your car for 1 or even 2 days during the week. So we're trying to improvise sometimes some solutions for this kind of problem, but we need to have a better understanding of how mobility actually works in our cities. We have these big cities that were created not to support that many people. We need to create all this different infrastructure and so on. So the next step, just to finish, This is, we are going to have a workshop in Guadalajara. And Guadalajara is the Silicon Valley of Mexico. So I'm looking forward to meet all of you and to exchange ideas and to basically learn a lot from you. Thank you.
So I had one question, but I think you already answered it regarding what you felt about the emerging world initiatives. In the interest of time, I'm going to invite Tristan and Nilay to kind of do a joint presentation. And you both get a minute each. And Nilay, I hope you have your mom's permission to be here. So, okay, so over to you guys, and then we'll break for lunch. So.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Can we have the slides, please? So I'll start talking about the past. I'll majorly talk about past. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Nilay is from Nashik, and I think what really, apart from his young age, is he has a very mature head on those very small shoulders. And over the past year or so that we have been engaging with him, talking to him, I think each time I meet him, I learn something new. And I think, as Bill just mentioned, innovators and entrepreneurs have something from within that makes them entrepreneurs. I see that as a living example. He's on to something very great in the near future. So, Nilay, please.
Okay, so I'll be talking about... Thank you. So I'll be talking about my past work, what I'm doing currently, and what the future is. So this is a photo from my kind of glorious past work. So I've been working with Kumbhathon initiative with MIT since the beginning of it. I was 7 days away from turning 14 at that time, and I did a project on Kumbh Mela crowd counting, because you can't manage the crowd without knowing how many people are there at a particular spot. So we ended up counting 500,000 people at on a single working day. And hopefully we prevented stampedes, because we were constantly reporting back and forth to the commissioner of police and the mayor of the city. We are currently, go back. So the green one, dashboard you see is the actual screenshot from the second royal bath day from Kumbh Mela. You can see the 500,000 figure there, and the top one, the orange one, is the current dashboard, which has added a lot of insight features where you can actually draw some conclusion out of the data, like what was the peak hour, where people clogging to a particular spot in a mall, or where can you find some patterns out of the data you gathered from the movement of people. We are also thinking about cameras to even further better the quality and tracking. So can we have the next slide? So here is where, so we call it ashioto. Ashioto means footsteps in Japanese. So these are the questions we would like to answer in the future, and I have particularly marked who in red, because we don't want to know who the person is, because we want it to be completely anonymous. We don't want to identify, because that's kind of peeking into people's lives, wherever you're going and all. So these are the questions we would like to answer in future. So can we derive some conclusion if people are going certain railway stations, certain metro stations are being used more and more, certain medical dispensaries are being more used, even when they have a good competition going on between a certain brand of dispensary and such kind of thing, like Starbucks versus McDonald's for restaurants, for example. So we can sell the data to the opposing companies to even better their chances of visibility, even in malls or temples. Temples is an untapped market for us right now. So yeah, we look forward to innovate for billions and change a billion lives in future. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Tristan Swedish. I'm a researcher in Ramesh's group, in the camera culture group here at the MIT Media Lab. And I'll be really fast. And so this is sort of a pitch so that I'd like you to come talk to me after this. So I don't want to be between you and lunch. And the main project I'm working on in the lab is doing rapid and large-scale eye screening. So specifically, I'm looking at the retina, which are the spot in your body that allows you to see images. So it's actually the organ that you can look through the eye, and it's the only place in the body that you can see blood flow non-invasively. So we think this is really interesting. And the approach that I'm taking is building an end-to-end system that allows you to build a device and designing a device that's easy for everyone to use and can be used on a large scale. And then also building algorithms that are designed for these devices. And as part of this work, it's this large, complex sort of design, but one thing that really helps is being able to collaborate outside of the lab. So we're collaborating with an innovation center in Hyderabad, in LV Prasad. It's a huge eye hospital in India, one of the largest. And we're also collaborating in Nashik with the DISC Innovation Center, building some of the algorithms and communication technologies that we need to pull this thing together. And so I'm really excited by Emerging Worlds and the opportunity it gives projects like this, and would be happy to talk afterwards. Thanks.